Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Malavarachi, read by Soundithavam. The President hails the service rendered by Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca. Field Marshal Fonseca attributed the victory in the war to the extraordinary dedication of Sri Lanka's war heroes. Parliament is scheduled to meet on Tuesday to debate the resolution for the implementation of external debt restructuring agreements. Bus fares will be reduced by 5% from the 1st of July. The Ruhunu Katragama Mahadevala Essala Festival to commence on the 6th of July. The US Deputy Assistant Secretary for Asia is scheduled to visit Sri Lanka next week. A 15-hour water cut in Colombo today. In foreign news, Kenyan court allows military deployment to quell protests. And in sports, unbeaten India and South Africa will compete in the T20 World Cup final today in Barbados. President Wickremesinghe expressed confidence in former Army Commander and MP Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca's enduring commitment to the country and asserted that his military and political experiences continue to be invaluable assets. He made these comments during the launch of the Army Commander's Promise to the Nation, "I Will Not Leave This War to the Next Army Commander," a book authored by Fonseca. The event, held at the Nelumpokota Theatre in Colombo yesterday, celebrated Fonseca's pivotal role in ending the country's 30-year civil war. The President acknowledged Fonseca's leadership was instrumental in securing victory in what he described as one of the world's most challenging wars. He said Fonseca's perseverance through personnel and political trials, including imprisonment, and acknowledged the government's decision to honour him with the title of Field Marshal under former President Maithripala Sirisena's administration. The first copy of the book was ceremoniously presented to President Wickremesinghe by Field Marshal Fonseca. In recognition of his services, the President also received a commemorative gift from Fonseca. The President lauded Fonseca for his extraordinary military leadership and resilience in the face of political challenges, affirming his continued potential to serve the motherland. Speaking at the event, Field Marshal Fonseca attributed the victory in the war to the extraordinary dedication of Sri Lanka's war heroes, many of whom sacrificed their lives or became disabled in the process. He expressed deep respect for the families of these heroes, acknowledging their sacrifices for the future of the nation's children and the peace of the country. The Committee on Parliamentary Business has decided to debate the resolution for the implementation of external debt restructuring agreements on the 2nd and 3rd of July. Accordingly, Parliament is scheduled to meet on Tuesday, the 2nd of July at 9:30 a.m. and it has been decided to hold the debate until 5 p.m. The President is also scheduled to make a special statement to Parliament on that day regarding the implementation of external debt restructuring agreements. Bus fares will be reduced by 5% from the 1st of July, the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association has announced. The President of the association, Gamana Vijayaratna, said that this will result in a 2 rupee reduction in the minimum bus fare. Addressing the media, he said, accordingly the minimum bus fare will be reduced from 30 rupees to 28 rupees. The decision was taken during a meeting between the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association and the Transport Ministry officials yesterday. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Kandy Asala Parahara Festival will commence on the 5th of August with the auspicious cup planting ceremony at the 4 main Devalayas. The Devada Nilame of the Temple of the Sacred Chutrelek, Pradeep Nilanka Dalla, announced the cup planting ceremony, marking the beginning of the festival, will take place facing the northwest direction at 4:10 a.m. on the 5th of August at the Natha, Vishnu, Katragama and Patini Devalayas. He made this announcement at a meeting held yesterday to discuss the commencement of the Kandy Asala Festival this year. Meanwhile, the Asala Festival of the Ruhunu Katragama Mahadevala is scheduled to commence on the 6th of July. The Kumana entrance to the wildlife sanctuary will be open from today for the Padayatra pilgrims from the north and east journeying to Katragama on foot to attend. According to tradition, the Padayatra pilgrims make a journey on foot through the jungle through Kumana, taken by Skandakumara, revered as god Katragama, who landed on the Okanda beach to visit Valyamma. The Padayatra pilgrims who are to commence their journey from the Okanda Devalaya would take about 20 days to reach Katragama. The U.S. Department of the Treasury's Deputy Assistant Secretary for Asia, Robert Caproth, is scheduled to visit Sri Lanka next week. He is scheduled to meet government officials, think tanks and financial sector leaders in Sri Lanka during the visit. Quoting, DAS Caprott's visit underscores US commitment to supporting Sri Lanka during this crucial period, unquote, the US ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie J. Chung, said in a post on X. She added that deepening reforms that encourage transparency, accountability and sustainability in government, economic and financial sectors is vital as Sri Lanka works to build its economic recovery and resilience. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
The new electricity bill that was passed in Parliament 3 weeks ago was endorsed by Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardena yesterday. The new Electricity Act comes into effect from June 27th. The Sri Lanka Electricity Bill was passed by a majority of 44 votes following the debate held in Parliament recently. This bill was presented to Parliament and aims to make necessary arrangements for reforms in the electricity sector and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
On to Watchlight. Colombo residents will face a 15-hour water cut today as the National Water Supply and Drainage Board announced that water supply to several areas in the city will be suspended. The board announced that there will be a water cut in Colombo, Dehiwala, Mount Lavinia, Kotte, Kaduwela, Mahragama, Boraleskama, Kolanawa, Kotikavatta and Mulleriava. The water cut will commence at 9 a.m. today and last until midnight. According to the Water Board, the water cut is necessary as part of the ongoing essential maintenance work under the Ambatale water supply system. The Water Board has advised residents in the affected areas to make the necessary arrangements to store water during the water cut period. Further, the NWSDB has requested the cooperation of the public to conserve water during and after the water cut and came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Making headlines this morning, a Kenyan court allows military deployment to quell protests. Iranians vote in presidential election with limited choices. A report says North Korea cracking down on wedding dresses and slang. Kenya's High Court has approved the use of military force to restore order following days of anti-tax protests that at some point overwhelmed the police. More than 20 people have been reportedly killed in the nationwide protests that are largely led by young people opposed to government plans to increase taxes. Armored military vehicles patrolled streets in the capital Nairobi on Thursday as the police fired tear gas to disperse protesters who had threatened to storm the presidential palace. Iranians voted on Friday for a new president following the death of Ibrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash, choosing from a tightly controlled group of 4 candidates loyal to the supreme leader at a time of growing public frustration and Western pressure. The election coincides with escalating regional tension due to war between Israel and Iran's allies Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon, as well as increased Western pressure on Iran over its fast-advancing nuclear program. While the election is unlikely to bring a major shift in the Islamic Republic's policies, its outcome could influence the succession to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's Iran's 85-year-old supreme leader in power since 1989. North Korea is carrying out a widespread crackdown on everything from wedding dresses to slang. As it seeks to counter the South's influence, a new report has revealed. The report released by South Korea's Unification Ministry is based on the testimony of hundreds of defectors. It includes the case of a 22-year-old who was executed after admitting listening to South Korean music and distributing films, first reported by the BBC last year. North Korea described last year's report as slander and fabrication, but has yet to respond to the new document. Back to the headlines of the world news. Kenyan court allows military deployment to quell protests. Iranians vote in presidential election with limited choices. And a report says North Korea cracking down on wedding dresses and slang. That concludes this bulletin of world news.
Development news.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says the district secretaries hold the main responsibility of accelerating the development programs of the government. There is a delay in implementing the primary section of the decentralized budget program. The Prime Minister made these comments while participating at a special meeting held at the Ministry of Home Affairs on Thursday to review the progress of decentralized budget programs. The number of projects in the decentralized budget program is 33,362 and the allocated amount is 11,250 million rupees. That came to you in development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Two unbeaten teams, India and South Africa, will compete in the T20 World Cup final today at the Kensington Oval Stadium in Barbados, starting at 8 p.m. Sri Lanka time. Both teams have maintained strong records, with India, led by Rohit Sharma, reaching the final with convincing performances, showcasing their all-round capabilities. South Africa, under Aiden Markram, bounced back strongly after the league stage, boasting a powerful bowling department to challenge India's strong batting lineup. Captain Markram aims to achieve a unique double, having led the ICC Under-19 World Cup winning team in 2014 and now eyeing the T20 World Cup in their maiden final appearance. That came to you in sports news. We take a look at business news next.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු වීර හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Litro Gas Lanka continued its partnership with the Chefs Guild Lanka as a key sponsor of the 21st edition of the Culinary Art Food Expo 2024, which took place from June 7 to the 9th at the Sirimavo Bandaranaike Memorial Exhibition Centre. This event proved to be an international sensation, showcasing the pinnacle of culinary artistry and innovation. That's business news, economic news to follow.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු වීර හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. The overall rate of inflation as measured by the Colombo Consumer Price Index on a year-on-year basis has increased to 1.7% in June 2024 compared to 0.9% in May 2024, according to the Department of Census and Statistics. Meanwhile, food inflation has increased to 1.4% in June 2024 compared to 0.0% in May 2024, while the non-food inflation has climbed to 1.8% in June 2024 compared to 1.3% the previous month. That's economic news.
Weather report.
The Met Department says that several spells of light showers will occur in the western, Sabragamo and northwestern provinces, also in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and the Matara districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the Uva province and in the Ampara and Batticaloa districts in the evening or night. Strong winds of about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the Central Hills, the northern, north-central and northwestern provinces, also in the Trincomalee, Hambantota and Monaragala districts. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The President hails the service rendered by Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca. Field Marshal Fonseca attributed the victory in the war to the extraordinary dedication of Sri Lanka's war heroes. Parliament is scheduled to meet on Tuesday to debate the resolution for the implementation of the external debt restructuring agreements. Bus fares will be reduced by 5% from the 1st of July. The Ruhunu Katragama Mahadevala Asala Festival to commence on the 6th of July. The US Deputy Assistant Secretary for Asia is scheduled to visit Sri Lanka next week. A 15-hour water cut in Colombo today. Kenyan court allows military deployment to quell protests. And unbeaten India and South Africa will compete in the T20 World Cup final today in Barbados. With that, we conclude this morning's news broadcast, and now it's back to host Sonal to keep you well entertained this lovely Saturday morning. A very good morning to you, Sonal, and it's all yours.